a tier list for big threes. There's been a lot of big threes down the years, but we are going to look at some of the most notable ones and put them into a tier list. As usual, we'll go E for elite. We got A, we got B, and we got C. Now we're only going to be talking big threes from the 90's and the 2000s. So me and Chris are going to go back and forth. We'll discuss them and see where we want to put these guys. Chris, you want to start us out?
Are we going to start with elite, or I'll give you one to put in perspective. Let's do that. Let's do that. So we're doing EAB. Where are you putting the Celtics big three of Allen, Pierce, and Garnett? Made it to two finals, won their first one together, did not beat Kobe the year after. Where do you put them?
I'm kind of tempted to put them in the B, but they got the ring, so I'm like,
The one ring.
they got the one ring, but they got two finals. They put this team together to dominate the East, and they didn't really do it as much as they should have. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna sit them into the B. I think they could go A, but
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna put them in the B.
Yeah, that I think that's the correct decision, and I think that'll become clear. So we're not talking about 80's either. When you include the 80's, then it's like okay, we can't put them there. But I was right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well,
Yeah,
we'll see how many we agree on here.
I think
So
like
give
some of
me
them
give me
are
the
just
next one.
so obvious. Like actually, I'm gonna start off with a bit of an interesting one for you. There,
Okay.
this could go bottom, or this could go right there with the Sun with Celtics guys. A team that never won a ring, but Nash, Stoudemire, and Marion, the Phoenix Suns. Remember the Phoenix
See,
Suns? They're
see,
their run. We're
see,
talking bottom. See,
see.
see.
They did not
Okay.
win a champ, and that's the harshness of it. Like the best trios in history have to win a championship, and I think winning just one championship is almost that's a demerit. That puts if the Celtics had pulled off a back to back and they had won, and this is not even mentioning Rondo on that team,
Yeah.
but they would have been an A tier for me. But to not win one at all, I have them in an honorable mention. They're the C
Yeah, yeah, I
for
think that, I
sure.
think I think that's fair. It's just obviously that was the whole the prime Steve Nash. He won his two MVPs. That team that won the 60 games, and they really should have at least they didn't even make a finals, right? They didn't even make the finals. Like that's insane. Like that was such a disappointment for a guy like Steve Nash and Stoudemire. That was their prime years, and they couldn't even get into a finals. They were definitely ones that were a bit of a letdown. All right.
D tier for disappointment. We'll leave them there. I got an easy one. Parker, Ginobili, Duncan.
Yeah, well, we know where that's going, don't we? Right in the seat here. Now, obviously, that's
But
elite, elite,
five
elite.
championships, four of them won. That's a pretty good winning percentage. If my math is correct, that's 80%, and that's far better than any of the LeBron teams that we can't talk about in the teens. But to put that in perspective, I think that's got to be up there, one of the easier ones.
Yeah, I
There's a
mean,
second easier one that
the
we
only
haven't
thing
talked
that's
about.
against them is the fact that they never did back to back. That's literally the only thing you can hold against
Yeah, but they won 50
two.
games or more every single season.
Yeah, like
Every single
that's
season they're
that's
together.
crazy. That those three, the best coach around. They added Kawhi in towards the end. Like this, they were just an outstanding team, all around team. It was they were an unbelievable trio. And shout out to the Spurs for obviously Duncan was the no one you knew, but getting Tony Parker and Ginobili in and developing them the way they did, just unbelievable. I'll go for another easy one from the 90's. Let's just get it out of the way. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman.
Yep. Yep. Easy. Throw in Horace Grant there too if you want the earlier years. But yeah, that one's obviously easy. That is the here's a question. Who's if we're counting all the trios, 80's, 90's, 2000s, 2000 teens, is there any trio that you would even consider putting above them? Just in terms of thinking about both success and just sheer talent, or maybe just sheer talent alone.
Your talent, you could definitely, nah, probably even not. Probably not. You maybe like the KD, Clay, Curry, maybe possibly just sheer talent. But I think they're probably think Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, they're probably top tier, top of the elite tier, I think.
Yeah. That is a tough that one is one that always gets brought up is like, was it that 73 win Warriors team? Do they come close? And obviously we're not including them because that becomes an interesting conversation just to put it into perspective. But sticking in the 2000s though, Kobe, Powell, and Lamar Odom. Where do you put them? 3 straight finals, won 2 of them.
I'm probably gonna go A. I think I'd put them in the A,
Oh, okay.
just outside, because I think
You're
the
putting them in
last
the
team.
same tier as the Spurs, putting them in the same tier as the Bulls, 2-time three-peat.
No, put the E. They're an E. Spurs and Bulls are an E, bro. I'm talking A here.
We're talking A tier. Okay,
A
okay,
tier
okay,
for
okay.
this trio. This trio's going in the A tier. Obviously, they had a lot of a success. They could have maybe got another ring in there, but I think you go 3 years and their prime output. They did a lot. They had the 2 rings, went to 3 finals. It's hard to argue with that, but they just miss out on the elite tier.
Yeah, that that is very close to Allen Pearson, and that's funny that it comes down to a couple games between where we see those two teams. The Celtics are always going to get clowned for only winning one championship in the last couple decades, and always still talking about that one championship. But what the Lakers did, going 3 straight, winning 2. Obviously, Kobe won with Shaq as well, but um, I think that team was probably one of my favorite teams of the 2000s. That what they did them against Allen, Pearson, Garnett, that whole series, like that was some good basketball. Them and the Spurs. And now that we're talking about like these teams in the 2000s, like and we talk about the 90's, not even talking about the 80's. I think it's funny that our hindsight's a little bit blurry because all we see for the past decade is just the Heatles, LeBron, Love, Kyrie, Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Steph, Clay, Durant, Draymond, and all that. Like there's so much more. There's so much more greatness that was behind them, and it's tough to see where they stack up. Just thinking about those teams, just right here.
Yeah, and I'll finish off with another Lakers one. The Shaq, Kobe, Fisher trio that
Does Fisher
dominated.
count?
Fisher counts, unless
Does
you want to put.
Fisher
Is
count?
Phil Jackson the other member of that
This
that
big
trio?
big three.
I mean,
Okay,
like, but
that's.
you got Lamar Odom in
Uh,
there. Like, come on,
oh come on, Lamar Odom wasn't Lamar Odom was an all star.
Derek
Lamar,
Fisher
right?
was clutch, man. You said it yourself when we did the
He
the
he
buzzer
was
beaters.
clutch, but it was one of the best because he wasn't. Am I correct? Lamar Odom was an all star.
All right, looking back right at this point, I think I'd have Lamar Odom and Derek Fisher in a similar
Yeah.
category of player.
Now I need to fact check myself. That's you're saying Lamar Odom and Derek Fisher, same tier player.
Yeah, I'm going with that. I stand by that. Derek
Okay, I
Fisher
mean
was
I was
there for
wrong.
those ones too, right?
I was wrong. I was wrong actually. Lamar Odom has never made it to an All Star game.
There you go.
That's crazy. That I wonder if that speaks to like players that win championships on really good teams and are just like obviously very important, but then their legacy gets kind of blown up. Because I was so convinced, like it was obvious in my head, Lamar Odom was an All Star. He was not one six man of the year, one rookie. He was all rookie, but besides being a 2-time NBA champ, I guess not. Wow. All right, you learn something new every day.
There you go. So what are you thinking? Are Shaq, Kobe, and Fisher, are they the
Fine,
same tier?
fine. I guess Shaq counts for like two players. That's fine. I'll
Yeah,
give it to
exactly. Just like Kobe, right?
you.
What
Who
are you
do
thinking?
who? I got one more. Um,
What tier? What tier? You never told me what tier you're putting Shaq, Kobe, and Fisher in, bro.
oh, I thought that was obvious. Like if it's Kobe and Shaq, that's got to be E.
E?
That's
Yeah.
got to be E.
But
Just in terms of like you got to put it into the context of talent.
the
Maybe they did not.
domination level of those two, yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was pretty sick.
that was just like it. They did not win as many championships as your MJ's, as your Spurs. but just what they did domination wise on the court, what they could have done if they kept going. That was probably one of the most dominating, I will say trios, duos, trios, whatever, of the 2000s, easily. Like
Yeah, like
the
three straight and four straight finals, three straight rings, four straight finals. Yeah, like they were unbelievable. And Shaq at that time was just next level. And Kobe obviously was only kind of coming into his own at the start of it, but by the end of it, he was the star as well, and that's ultimately why it broke up. But on the whole, the domination level that Lakers side was next level. They got to be in the elite there.
yeah, that was just a time period where it was like the East just sucks because
Yeah.
because Shaq and Kobe out west, Spurs out west, and it's like who like no one's competing with them.
You got one more for me?
Where are we putting it since you put the what if there? I have to ask you where you would put Durant, Russ, and Harden, since you wanted to put your what if with Nash
Yeah, I mean, like
Stoudemire.
I didn't I wasn't sure if we were doing KD Russ Harden because I mean, like technically they were more of a team. They were coming into their own in the early 2010s, but I guess they were put together in the 2000s. So they needed to be together long. So I guess they got to be in C as well. They made it. They did make to the finals. Admittedly, they did do that, but on the whole, they're not on the same level as Allen, Garnett, Pierce. That Celtics teams. They got to be down there with the Suns in the C tier.
If they that I think that has to be the biggest what if team. That's the biggest
Oh
what
yeah.
if trio. Like if personality wise that worked out somehow, and then just health wise, if they could have stuck together like that, would that have been the best if they were like I want to say normal. That seems a bit offensive. But if they were normal, dude, just like they could just work together, just like sit down and work out their differences and like really just play together and commit to a team, like would that have been the greatest collection of talent ever?
Oh God, right up there. I think. I mean, you get why it split up in the end, not outside of the personality wise, but I think like imagine they had Harden when they blew that 3-1 lead against the Golden State Warriors. I think they like as much as Harden everyone talks about him being a playoff bust and all this sort of stuff. I think if he was on that team still when they were going there, they don't blow that 3-1 lead. They they win a couple of rings, I think, as a trio. Maybe they don't go down as one of the greatest ever, but in terms of this era, they would have been unbelievable, and it would have been great to see them all develop as a trio together. To continue watching them, we got to see a decent chunk of Russ and KD, but it would have been great to see them all develop together into all stars, all NBA men.
Yeah. And honestly, like if you think about it in perspective, like we're not going to do a history lesson here on the Thunder, but I'm sure there's so many other teams out there like them, so many other players. Like people always lament Trace McGrady, Vince Carter not sticking together. Just so many groups of talented young guys who just want to make it on their own, and they do, but not in the same way as some of these trios that are put together. It's very rare to see teams organically put it together like the Warriors. If you look at all these teams, really, Michael Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, like that's homegrown. Parker Ginobili, Duncan, homegrown, and
Robin was
this.
brought in. Let's not forget that he wasn't drafted
Well,
there.
yeah, yes, but he became important, like
Yeah,
league
no,
wide
you'd
known,
forget.
like on
Yeah,
the
yeah, no,
Bulls.
yeah, yeah. No, it wasn't like a major acquisition when
Yeah,
they brought him in. It was something that people probably thought was going to fail.
like he left the Pistons, like he left Bad Boy Pistons, wasn't the most important player on the Bad Boy Pistons, was like kind of floundering on the Spurs, and then he got put there.
Mhm.
But um, but then you look at a lot of other most of these trios, like they're kind of put together after the fact. They're um, aside from Powell, um, I think it's something impressive to see teams that like keep guys together, keep a trio together, and let them grow, let them be like the best of their ability without those players ending up just wanting to leave.
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously, it's harder in today's game because it's just that the money that's around. It's
Hmm.
definitely harder to keep together. But just the OKC are just always a testament that I think as individuals, they all won the MVP award, all three of them, which is kind of insane to think of.
That's insane.
And like maybe they wouldn't have been able to do that together, but maybe it was KD was always going to be that shining light out of the three of them. But you know, as a trio together, if they somehow could have figured a way to keep that bond together, they would have been a multi-championship team and one of the best of this era, without doubt.
Yeah, sad to think about. What
Yeah,
we got next?
we'll move on from this. Making us sad now looking back on it, but